Welcome, everyone, to the latest episode of Aaron and Justin Talk Sequels. I'm Justin.
I am Aaron.
We have a very special episode today because we are covering what might be the rarest sequel in modern era.
Maybe.
And, I mean, there's no way we would have to go through every sequel, but Aaron, how hard of a time did you have finding this movie? And we are talking about the 1990 classic Texasville, directed by the greatest pimp of all time, Peter Bogdanovich.
I went old school, and my way of finding it was fairly easy because there's a library just next door to my town that had it on the shelf. I don't even know how I knew about this movie. Maybe it was because we were looking at sequels, and somehow it popped up in a Google search, and I was like, oh, there's a sequel to 1971's The Last Picture Show, and it's called Texasville, and it came out in 1990. I had no idea.
Yeah, I had never seen The Last Picture Show. I had never seen Texasville, and I struggled so hard to find this movie. We need to start a petition, get angry. We need people to write letters. Do they do that? To whatever studio owns these rights, because it had a brief DVD release and that's gone. And to try and find a DVD on Amazon, it's roughly $70.
Crazy.
You can get a VHS for like $5-10 on eBay. I think that's just because it's VHS and nobody has those anymore. I could have gotten the VHS and I could have found a VCR at a Goodwill, but it would have taken too long.
So much work.
You can't stream this online anywhere legally. You can't purchase it online anywhere legally. What else? I tried the library. I'm in Michigan. There are 2 libraries in Michigan that have a copy of this. There was originally 5. One was stolen, one was not available, and the other was something else funny.
Well, once you realize how difficult it will be to ever watch it, if you get a copy of it, you steal it.
Yes, we are covering an episode where none of the listeners are going to be able to watch this movie.
No, isn't that funny? I was thinking about that too. But maybe they've seen it somehow. Maybe they were one of the 4 people that saw it in theaters.
It's very possible.
On its original release. How did you see this movie?
So I have to say that I had to illegally download the movie, and I'm upset about it. I used to be an advocate for stealing it and having fun, but now I'm such a firm, you buy this, and I couldn't.
Yeah, I was even thinking about mailing you my copy, because I had it for a while, and I don't even have to return it for like another week or 2. So I should have just done that. I should have mailed you. You watch it, mail it back to me. I give it back to the library. Nobody would have known. But I think we should definitely talk about how you had to steal this movie in order to watch it, because this is the service we provide as a podcast, trying to reignite the passion and the love for lost films. Who would have known that a 1990 film by Peter Bogdanovich would not be able to be seen by anyone? And maybe because of the lengths you had to go to, MGM or whoever will listen to our pleas and finally release it on a Blu-ray or just stream, probably just stream.
Something. And the thing that about this whole situation, and there's going to be listeners out there being like, yeah, no shit, stupid. How many movies are being lost to us because the only accepted format anymore, digital, just doesn't have a supported release?
And you think most of these are the films, when people talk about preservation, it's old films. It's Charlie Chaplin's films. It's Buster Keaton's films. It's all those things. But no, actually, we found one that came out in 1990. And unless you bought the DVD that came out, I think the version I have is from 2004. You're shit out of luck.
That sounds about right.
And that's too bad, because it turned out that it's actually a kind of a fun film to watch.
Yeah, The Dirty Memoirs of Peter Bogdanovich is great. So anyway, I think we covered that. This movie is incredibly hard to find.
Yep.
Even stealing it illegally, there was only like 3 people that held a digital stolen copy.
I tried to pirate it off of my DVD copy I had to send to you, but it's like corrupted, and it just has all these security things in place where you can't even steal the files off the DVD, or it's just corrupted. And
yeah, they've got pretty good lockdown software on there. I know you can break it. I
just thought 2004 I could maybe get past that, but
yes, we are talking about Peter Bogdanovich. a known director. He's one of these guys that you see this a lot when you're talking about directors where they come out hot, make 4 or 5 solid films, cement their reputation, and then they kind of trail off. Agree, disagree?
I agree. And it's almost like they're damned because they had so much success off the top that even if they make maybe not equal kind of films after those 4 or 5 big ones off the top, they still do some good stuff, but people shit on them like they're horrible now, and I think that's kind of unfair. And Bogdanovich has always, to me, been like the poster child for that kind of thing. There might be others, but I just feel like he got a raw deal after his I think he made like 3, maybe 4 pretty critically acclaimed films off the top.
It looks like he's got some smaller stuff, and he's got a documentary about John Ford in there, because Bogdanovich is a noted film historian. Meeting this guy, I just have a feeling that he is the most charismatic person you could meet.
He may be.
Like, he's got to be a hell of a salesman. But then he does The Last Picture Show, and then he does What's Up, Doc?
I never saw his other films in that era either.
I haven't seen the majority of them. He made Paper Moon, which is supposed to be great. And I don't know if Daisy Miller is the last big hit.
I think that was the one that didn't do good box office at all, and then it was kind of the beginning of his downward spiral. But he still worked. It's not like he was doing crap.
At Long Last Love, Nickelodeon, Saint Jack, They All Laughed, Mask, which was nominated for the Palme d'Or.
That got him back up a little bit, right? With Cher and
Eric
Stoltz. Yes, because Mask is the one with the kid with the weird face, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's Mask.
He did Illegally Yours, and then he did Texasville, Noises Off, The Thing Called Love, which I've heard of, The Cat's Meow.
I heard of that too. Yeah, I literally haven't seen any but Last Picture Show, Mask, and now Texasville. But I've always liked him, and he's an actor as well, so I was familiar with him as an actor because he pops up here and there.
Yeah, he was in The Sopranos.
Yeah. Did you ever watch Sopranos?
No.
Yeah, he had a pretty big role because, like, the idea behind Sopranos is that Tony Soprano is a gangster, and he keeps having these crazy dreams, and he doesn't know what's wrong with him. He's having panic attacks. This is like the whole point of the show, and that he goes to a psychiatrist who's what's her name, who was Ray Liotta's wife in Goodfellas. Anyway, so she's in Sopranos. She's a psychiatrist. But if anybody ever found out that Tony Soprano was going to a psychiatrist, he'd be locked. He'd be like a hit against him. Like, gangsters don't go to a psychiatrist. Anyways, that's the whole point of The Sopranos. But the funny thing is that she has a psychiatrist because having Soprano as her client is so stressful in her life that she has a psychiatrist, and that is played by Peter Bogdanovich. So she would go to him every once in a while for his, as you say, charismatic opinion about her life. He had a good role on that show.
Huh. Does he end up being a reason that, like, Tony gets whacked?
I don't remember, and it's never explained if Tony actually got whacked or not, no matter what David Chase says. He doesn't really explain it.
That was a leading question because, Chase just came out and said that, Tony gets whacked.
He really didn't, though.
That's
the thing. Like, I read it and reread it, and I was like, yeah, he's still kind of vague about that. I think what he was saying is, like, it's what do they call that? Schrodinger's cat? How if the cat's in the box, you don't know whether it's alive or dead. That's all he's saying, is that the show cut to black. So I think if he's saying if we did film it, he probably would have been killed in that moment. But we didn't, so therefore I don't know.
This was a recent interview where he was talking about set locations and how 2 years before they filmed the final season, they went by a diner and he saw a family eating, and he's like, that's how I want Tony to die.
But I don't remember if he used those words exactly, but that's what I got.
That's where I want Tony to get it, or something along those lines. Anyway, I've never watched the show, so I have no emotional attachment to it at all. Yeah, that's
a lot to get through. So,
did you watch the prequel yet?
No, I didn't. Didn't really grab me for some reason.
A good gangster movie is always decent.
My parents saw it. They said they liked it.
Anywho, Peter Bogdanovich made some movies and has the greatest romantic backstory of any person that we've talked about so far, and I love it. This man, I feel like there's a very strong chance that this man would have been canceled if he existed during this time, and I just want to run it down because I want his personal story to be filtered in through what we're talking about.
But you're not saying like greatest as in like way to go, buddy, because I actually feel
I'm
bad
saying
for
way to go, buddy.
No, because I feel bad for his wife that he cheated on.
So he's making this movie with his wife. He's making The Last Picture Show.
Yes, Polly Platt is her name, and they
she
would work
was
out a lot of
working on
things
it.
together. Yeah.
So he dumps her and hooks up with the 20-year-old blonde bombshell, Cybill Shepherd.
Yeah, but it's even worse than that, in that he hired Cybill Shepherd for the movie, and they ended up falling in love while they were making the movie, and Polly was still on set working on it. So yeah, it sounds even worse when you put it that way. Like,
Yeah.
it ruined his marriage, clearly.
So him and Cybill Shepherd are together for 8 years or so.
Yeah, something like that.
Her entire 20s. Like, this guy has a solid memory for her.
And she was, I don't remember how old she was, but she was legal, but
She was
she's
20.
pretty
She was
young.
exactly 20 years old.
Okay, and he was like 31, I think, so.
Something.
Not
So they break
too
up.
much older, but 10 at least.
They break up in 1979. In 1980, while working on another film, he hooks up with the 20-year-old blonde star, Dorothy Stratton, who is married. And her estranged husband kills her and kills himself.
Yeah, right. I remember reading that.
Yes, very famous in the 80s, like at least one movie, a couple books. I think Bogdanovich wrote a book about it.
Yeah.
So 8 years later, he starts dating and marries another 20-year-old blonde. Her name is Louise Stratton, the younger sister
Yeah.
of the previous woman that was 20. That she was 12 when he was dating her sister. So they divorced in 2001, and from what I hear, they actually still live together. So they have to have a good relationship.
Wow.
That's
okay.
I read it
didn't
in
know
one
that.
article. Like, he lives with her and her mom.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So this guy has to be the most charismatic character
He might be.
you can imagine. And these movies are so sexual.
Coming of age and blooming sexuality is what these movies are about. Well, more the first than the second.
So yeah, let's get into this Last Picture Show.
Well, I'll give you a little more background on Bogdanovich, because this is why I always liked him. And this is related to the Monkees, the band and the TV show. So that's why I always like this too. But Bob Rafelson and Bert Schneider are the guys who made the Monkees TV show. And they took that money and they went off and made their own production company called BBS with another guy, Steve Blonner, I think. So BBS altogether. Bert, Bob, and Steve. Yeah, and they produced the Monkees movie Head, which is a total awesome film, but a complete cinematic failure and total bomb. Rafelson directed that, and then they went on to fund Easy Rider. They were like New Hollywood, right? So they
the New Hollywood.
Right, they go from Easy Rider to making Five Easy Pieces with Nicholson as well, another great film. So that's how they hooked up with Bogdanovich, who was known as as a film critic, had done, as you said, documentaries on John Ford, also Orson Welles, who he was actually a friend with and kind of a mentor to him. He let Orson live with him for a while Orson was doing bad financially.
That's awesome.
And so the book, The Last Picture Show, written by Larry McMurtry, who would go on to write Lonesome Dove, and he wrote this Texasville sequel as well. I think he wrote Brokeback Mountain too, the script for the film. So he's got like this Texas thing. He's got this cowboy. He's like that cowboy writer. But he wrote this book, The Last Picture Show, about himself growing up in Texas. It just like attracted the new Hollywood types who were like, oh, this is the story we have to tell because it's about your sexuality. It's about kids finding who they are. It fit in with the whole BBS crop of filmmakers and the movies they were producing. So
Yeah, his film credits are Last Picture Show, Love and Molly, Terms of Endearment.
yeah, Terms of Endearment too. That's right.
Texasville, Falling from Grace, The Evening Star, Brokeback Mountain, Joe Bell. And then he has a ton of TV credits as well. But yeah, this guy knows his stuff.
He's Texas. He's like the Texas writer. So yeah, 1971 rolls around. They're shooting The Last Picture Show. And the funny thing about Bogdanovich is that he's like this New York elite. Like this Texas thing is completely foreign to him. But I think he really gravitated to these kids finding out who they are while they're in the midst of this dead, dying city.
Do you think that his city upbringing, I could see these guys as city kids?
Yeah.
Rich city kids, the way that they act. I don't feel like they act like kids from a small, dying Texas town.
It's kind of like, I mean, it takes place in the early 50s, so it's almost like the birth of the teenager. And no matter where you are in the U.S., no matter, or your city's dying, you just want to be a teen and you want to do what's important to you. You want to get laid, you want to get drunk, and you want to have a good time before you are watching your impending adulthood slowly come to crush your spirits.
Which, yeah, knowing Bogdanovich's background, you can just tell that it feels like he puts a lot of himself in these characters.
Yeah, I think so. So the Last Picture Show is really, it's not a lot of plot, and there's not a lot of plot in Texasville either. It's just more of a character study.
Okay, so explain that to me. Like, some movies have a story with a beginning and an ending, and usually there's notable character change and development. You kind of get the point. I was struggling so much with the first half of this movie because it's that style of movie where it's like, this is where we're just going to put you in front of a slice of somebody's life, like you're watching this stuff happen, and see if you like it.
And those kind of movies, I would say 9 times out of 10 fail because there's no story. And the viewer knows that, and they can't get past it. And they're just like, there's no story here. But I think the big reason that it fails is that the characters aren't captivating. Like, it has to still grab you. Because I know that I also had a hard time off the top of the Last Picture Show when I first saw it years ago. And I fell asleep. Like, I just could not stay awake. It was black and white. It was quiet. It was always windy in that town. Everybody was taking forever to do anything. I just couldn't get through it. But once I made a conscious effort to sit through it again, I found the charm in it, and I connected with the characters more, and I didn't care that there wasn't a plot. It was fun to see where everyone was going just in this short amount of time. Especially Cybill Shepherd's character and how she was just trying to grow up too fast. She wanted to lose her virginity, to I don't know, basically be her mom, but her mom wasn't looking too good at that point. So a lot of confused children as well. Yeah,
there's so little going on, but there's so much going on. It's hard to unpack.
The lead of the film is definitely Timothy Bottoms' Sonny.
Yes, who I did not realize who Timothy Bottoms was.
Yeah,
and looking it up, I was like, this guy is amazing.
Yeah, he's done.
This
a lot
guy
of
has
stuff.
Gone on to have a rich and storied career, and I'm a big fan now.
So he's just this kid, and he's on the football team, and the coach is some sort of closet homosexual, which played better back in those days. It was a reason that the wife was unhappy. Ruth is his wife, played by Cloris Leachman, who's a little older, obviously, than Timothy Bottoms' character Sonny, but they end up having an affair together. And that's kind of what Sonny does throughout the movie, is that he's finding this excitement with this older woman. So that's one part of Sonny, but the other part is that he's a real down-home boy. They always go to the pool hall. He goes and watches movies at the picture show, and he goes to the diner. And it's those 3 places are the only places that are really open in this whole Anarene, Texas, this whole dying town. And those are all owned by Sam the Lion, is what he's called.
Sam the Lion.
He's this old guy named Ben Johnson, who won an Academy Award for this as well.
Favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, he's great, isn't he? Yeah. So he's a father figure to the boys, especially Sonny. So he's always letting them play around in his businesses, basically. And Sonny is a de facto brother to Sam's son, I believe. That's who Billy is. But I don't think they ever.
No.
Yeah. He's some sort of guardian of Billy, who's a little slow. So Sonny is kind of always watching Billy and stuff. So that's Sonny's deal.
If we talk about these people being teenagers and rushing to adulthood, Sonny is absolutely doing that. He looks up to Sam, and his goal is to be Sam when he grows up, and that's what he wants.
And Dwayne is Jeff Bridges' role. He's I think Sonny sees Dwayne trying so hard to get with girls his own age and to be the sports star and be the cool guy and get laid all the time. And then I think that's what pushes Sonny to be with Ruth, the coach's wife, because he's he feels like he can't compete with Dwayne, or he doesn't think he's good enough. I don't know. So yeah, he's just trying to be well, maybe I should just grow up and I should be more like Sam, so I'm going to go sleep with this older lady kind of thing. That's kind of what it felt to me too. Because Dwayne in this movie seems a little vapid. Is that there's not much to Dwayne.
He's an idiot. Yeah. And I read somewhere in there that Jeff Bridges was cast specifically because Dwayne was such an asshole. He wanted somebody to lighten up the character a bit and make him just a little bit likable. Because yes, Dwayne's a bad guy in this movie.
This is, if not the first movie for Jeff Bridges, it was certainly one of the first.
Yeah, it was early in his career.
But his father was Lloyd and his brother was Bo, so they were just
whatever happened to Bo?
Bo does a whole. Bo was like Timothy Bottoms. You don't realize how much he's been in or what quality work he has done and still does, because he's just not as famous as Jeff. But he's just a great character actor. You see him all over the place still. And they've been together in movies too. And then of course there's JC, who is played by Cybill Shepherd, who's another girl. They all go to high school together. They're seniors. And her kind of whole deal is that she's just, like I said before, she seems to be just like, she just wants to lose her virginity so she can feel like an older woman and get with older guys.
She's rich and she's hot, and she knows that she's supposed to do something important. So she doesn't approach men as in, I want to fall in love. She approaches men as, I need to find the best suitor for my status. And she's with Dwayne because he's the most popular kid in school, and that's who somebody of her status goes with. But she already has her sights on a boy that's a little more wealthy and in her status, and he's just a throwaway character.
But you're right that he's the catalyst that makes her, because he tells her point blank, I don't get with girls that don't know what they're doing, so grow up a little bit and maybe come back to me and we'll talk.
Yeah, like Randy Quaid takes her to a naked party that this boy's hosting, and she still lets Randy Quaid cop a feel.
Yeah. Skinny dipping party. I guess that sounds better than naked party.
Skinny dipping party, naked
but
pool
it is
party.
funny that they're all just naked.
Yeah.
Did you go to a party like that when you were that age?
I have never been to
I don't
one
remember
of those
getting
parties.
invited to any of those.
No.
Maybe
if they
we went to a Catholic
existed,
school, unfortunately.
God, they probably did exist, and we were just too not cool enough.
I know, we didn't get invited.
Ugh.
Damn it.
So we have Sonny on his line, and then we have Dwayne on his path of being cool, and that's about it. And then we have JC chasing status because her mom is kind of in the same deal. She married for status, even though she loved another, and she's in a terrible relationship with a guy she doesn't love,
because
but who
he's
has
the
money.
oil guy, right?
Yeah, he's an oil guy.
Yeah.
But she's also secretly having an affair with one of her husband's employees.
Well, from that employee that her mom is having an affair with, she ends up sleeping with him.
Yeah, she does.
You know, her mom wasn't really mad about that. I guess she was just more disappointed. She's just like, you're still better than that kind of thing. Like, really? You went for him? Just
following on Jace's arc, she goes to this party. The guy says, I don't deal with virgins. She immediately goes back and is with Dwayne. Dwayne can't get it up. They try again, and Dwayne does the job, and she immediately breaks up with him.
Yes.
So that she can go and date this guy that said, I don't deal with virgins. And then he, in the meantime, has gotten married because it's the 50s, and she would only find this stuff out in the paper or in the mail or something.
And also, as we also are hit over the head with in Texasville, people do things super fast. Like 1 week you're going out, the next week they're married to somebody else. I don't know if that's just a movie creation. Maybe that is Texas in the 50s. I don't know.
In fairness to the last picture show, and I don't know if Texasville does the same thing, this movie takes place over the course of a year. And so we don't know how much time has passed between.
True.
Yeah.
Compared to modern day, still pretty fast, I would say.
Yes, it is quite fast. And it seemed like they just got married because it's what they were supposed to do. They were going through the motions. This is kind of like the last generation before the 60s and before the Flower Children that went through the motions. Mm-hmm. And it's their kids that were like, okay, we're done with going through the motions. So in terms of the dying Texas town, it's almost like the dying embers of the original America. But anyway, JC is single. She dumped Dwayne. She lost the guy that she wanted to date. And she's like, I'm going to date Sonny.
And because she's the popular girl and then she goes for Sonny, Sonny immediately stops going over to Ruth's house for their little tryst. And it seemed like they were they had a real love connection, even though she was older than him. And I don't know how long it would have lasted. But she loved him for sure.
He starts the movie by saying that the prettiest girl in school is JC and that he would never be able to get with her. And so he gets to, they never actually end up sleeping together.
No.
But they did elope to Oklahoma, I think. And then her parents called the cops and immediately
But she left
had
a note
her.
for her parents telling them what
Yes,
she was
she
doing,
wanted the
knowing
drama.
Knowing that they would come and stop. So they got the wedding annulled or whatever, the marriage annulled or something.
Yep, and she kind of just moves away.
Yeah. I realize it is, without a story, a plot necessarily, it is hard to describe a film.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those are all awesome character studies, a little slice of life in this small town. I think the thing that does connect everything is Sam's character, Sam the lion who owns the businesses in town. He's the father figure, right?
Yep.
So one day, Sonny and Dwayne go to Mexico to get drunk. But before they do that, Sam took them fishing. And he has this great monologue, definitely what won Ben Johnson the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for this film.
Amazing monologue.
One of my favorite things in the movie is the love that like got away, or just the way you react to not fulfilling your dream of finding that person, or knowing that they slipped away and there's nothing you can do about it and now you're just an old person. That for me that's movies. And that's what he talks about, is that he had this beautiful girl, but it just didn't work out, and I can't exactly remember why, but
Because she was married.
Oh, was that it? Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, like he was an early girl that she cheated on her husband with.
Yes.
And they were wildly in love, but it would just never work because she was married and she was interested in status, just like her daughter ended up being.
Who we're talking about is JC's mom.
Yes.
Turns out that she was the love of Sam's life that he never was able to be with. Yeah. So Sonny and Dwayne go to Mexico to get drunk after that great fishing trip with Sam, only to come back and find out that Sam died off camera. So now like the whole town is just like in a mess. But he did leave the pool hall to Sonny. He left the diner to Genevieve, I think is her name, who works there.
I think I loved that character.
Yeah, and then he left the picture show to the woman who worked there.
And then he gave $1,000 to the preacher's son, which I don't understand that part of the movie. I don't know if I missed something.
This
Tweet
is just
at us
another
if
slice
you know.
of life. He just turned out to be a pedophile that absconded with this small girl, but
for no reason.
They tracked him down before he really did anything to her, and that was it.
They actually don't include that in the summaries for the movie, just because it has so little point. Like it is just a thing that happened.
It's just a thing that happened.
I think they wanted to show how old-fashioned justice took place, maybe?
Like the mom. Like, it's just like, you, like, hitting him over the head. You can't do that to my daughter. How dare you, blah, 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 blah. And that's it. And then
the sheriff is playing pool, I think. And
Yeah.
he was like, Sonny, you and the boys better come with me in case
get a posse together.
Yeah. It was fantastic.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
It's a great little part of the movie. And, like, does it need to be there? Is it important to the plot? No. But, hey, it's there. No big deal, right?
And it makes me think that it's important to the plot, and I don't know why.
So what else? I mean, that's pretty much it. Like, as far
So for
as everybody's
Dwayne,
story goes.
real quick.
Yes.
Well, there's one part that I love. Sonny and Dwayne are best friends. After JC dumps Dwayne, he goes and starts working in an oil field. That is when Sonny and JC get together. And Dwayne comes home, and him and Sonny get into a big fight that culminates in Dwayne smashing a beer bottle over Sonny's face, partially blinding him in his left eye. And they kind of just make up. Like, best friends, we had a fight, it is what it is. It's like if I put your eye out and then it was like, oh, it's fine, let's continue making the podcast.
Pretty much.
We're best friends, it's cool.
Gotta let it go.
After that, Dwayne joins the army.
Another thing you just do is what it felt like for him.
Yeah.
You work on the oil field, you join the army, whatever.
Yeah, especially in Texas. Yeah.
And Sonny may have done the same thing, but since he was given the pool hall by Sam, it like kind of made him a business owner in town. He's just like destined to live. I think he felt like he was destined to live there his whole life anyway.
So the movie closes out with Sonny owning the pool hall, JC living down in Dallas, going to college, and then Dwayne leaving to go fight in the Korean War where he's being shipped overseas. So the movie kind of ends with Sonny all by himself. And he's trying to shoulder all this adulthood that he wants so badly. And then something terrible happens.
To Billy. Sam was the guardian of the slow boy, Billy, who was kind of a brother to Sonny. He was always kind of tasked with looking after him, especially with Sam being gone.
We forgot about them bringing Billy to the prostitute, but I guess it's not really important.
I mean, that's another thing where Sam was disappointed in them because they were fucking with Billy and trying to get him laid, and it was just a real embarrassing situation, and he thought better of Sonny.
Yes.
He would treat his son that way, or his whoever he is.
He treated him much like he would like his own boy, and he forgave him when time was due. And
yeah, because he banned him from the business. Yeah, this is a whole other part to the movie. But Billy got hit in the street because Billy was always big on sweeping the street. for some reason because, it's just what he does, how he enjoyed his time. And he gets hit and killed. And another part of like 1950s America, 1950s Texas, where everybody's just standing around going, shit.
What the hell was that boy doing in the street?
What was he doing in the street? Goddamn. Well, I got this delivery to make. I guess I'll take off. Like,
yeah, we're going to go to the diner. And Sonny sees this and he's so broken about this that he grabs the body, he takes it to the sidewalk, he yells at the men call him weird, and then he just gets in his truck and he drives the hell away like he's leaving this place forever. He can't take it, and then he turns around and you don't know what makes him turn around, but it's like you're assuming that it's all he's ever known. Yeah,
it's all he's ever known, and there's just no way out of it. He knows that's his destiny. He's just going to be in that town. So he sucks it up. He turns around. But he goes to Ruth's house, I guess to apologize in his own way, or just because he feels comfortable with her. And she's angry, of course.
And this is where she wins her Oscar.
Yeah, this is where she knows that they can never, she knows that they can never be what they were, but that's okay. And she kind of just tells him, I can't remember what she says at the end, but she just says, like, it's all right.
Something like there or something, just acknowledging. And we leave the whole movie with him sitting there, a broken man in the shambles of any kind of life that he knew. And I think what Texasville, we're going to find out. I think we're going to find that Texasville is trying to say that this boy was destroyed and he was never quite the same after that. And 30 years later, we get this shell of a man in the next movie.
So that was Last Picture Show, and it was an enormous hit. People just really connected with it.
8 Oscars nominations, 2 wins, budget of $1.3 million, turned around and made just under $30 million, which in 1971 must have been just gigantic.
Yeah. And they were hailing Bogdanovich as like Orson Welles' second coming, like how he came out of the gate with Citizen Kane. Well, this was like his Citizen Kane. I'm sure they made that comparison, one, because the movie was in black and white, but also because he was friends with Orson, and Orson was kind of a mentor. In fact, he gave the script to Orson because he wanted Orson to play Sam the Lion.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and he read the script and he thought it was really good, but he's just like, it just wasn't him. Like, he just knew he couldn't see himself in that role. But he's told Bogdanovich, whoever you get to play this role is going to win an Oscar.
And Ben Johnson really didn't even want the role that much. Yeah.
I mean, he was famous for like playing, with John Wayne and Westerns and stuff. So I think somebody told him, like, you want to be the sidekick your whole life? Like, this is your chance. So he was like, all right, fine. I think they were all pretty proud of the movie. I'd imagine they were happy to be a part of it.
Bottoms apparently hated this movie.
Yes. I don't know. I read some weird quote about him, right?
Yeah, like Bottoms was not a fan of anybody on the set, and he said they treated each other all like shit.
This is something you say when you're young and you're working, but when you get older, you probably look back and say to yourself, I'm actually really happy I was part of that experience, and maybe I should relax. But I don't know what the deal was for him, so maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, they were only able to get him signed to do Texasville, bringing back the original cast, by agreeing to fund a documentary that he was making on The Last Picture Show and Texasville.
But nothing ever came of that, right?
I believe it came out.
Did? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Everybody was all on board. The Larry McMurtry, how do you say his name?
I think.
McMurtry?
Yeah, so he wrote the sequel.
In 1987.
Yeah, and Bogdanovich kind of said, like, he felt like, one, I think he was happy to go back to it, as the other people were. But at the same time, I think he felt a responsibility to continue the story, like, because Larry wrote it.
The studios were kind of iffy on Bogdanovich at that point. He hadn't made a hit in a while. It was Cybill Shepherd, his ex, that put the foot down and was like, he has to direct it.
And she was big at doing the show Moonlighting at that time with Bruce Willis, so she had some pull.
Yes.
Which is cool because, yeah, they were exes at that time. He must be a good guy for all
that's what I was going to say.
Cradle robbing.
He has to be
continue to like him.
The coolest man ever. It's terrible.
So now they get back together for Texasville. The thing is, though, you got to know going in, and that I knew would be weird, is that the star of the film has to be Jeff Bridges' character, Dwayne, even though Sonny was clearly the lead of the Last Picture Show. But Jeff Bridges is the big star, so how are you going to have him in a movie playing a supporting character? You're not.
Yeah, and so that was the biggest twist, is like the guy that was kind of a douche becomes the star of this one. Real quick segue. Yes, it came out a year later in 1991. It's called Picture This: The Times of Peter Bogdanovich in Archer City, Texas.
Was it a fond look at those movies, or was it Timothy Bottom's expose on the scandals?
I'm not really sure, but
Okay.
and I bet you it's harder to find than Texasville.
Yeah, there you go.
We should
harder to find.
give that a shot.
Yep.
So yeah, we've got Jeff Bridges back, we got Cybill Shepherd back, we've got Cloris Leachman back, Randy Quaid, all the originals are here, even though Randy Quaid was so not important, but I love what they did with his character in this movie.
He was not important, but he was still a star at that point, though.
Yeah,
because he was Cousin Eddie. They just had that hit the year before with Christmas Vacation, so everybody liked and knew him at that time. He wasn't a crazy, mentally out there, conservative, far right person. I don't know, whatever Randy Quaid is now. He's a little of everything.
Randy Quaid lives in a bunker in Canada and has
Something like that.
not been seen for many years. We all hope he's doing well.
Yeah, but they give him a little something to do. See, and now we have one more movie where there's not a lot of plot, but it's another slice of life. It's a character study. But this is definitely more of a comedy.
Yes.
Dark comedy at some points, but comedy nonetheless.
Bogdanovich said, who didn't have final cut, said his cut was more balanced with drama and comedy. This cut leans a little heavier on the drama, but the comedy really shines through.
I think it was a good move to make it a comedy, even though it's weird because you wouldn't expect that to be what comes out of the Last Picture Show, including Dwayne as the lead character, but they make both of it work.
I can say, just without reservation, I loved this movie.
I'm so happy you loved it. I was like, I didn't know what I was feeling for like the first hour, but then it like maybe like the Last Picture Show, it just was like, just sit back and watch these people. They're pretty fun to watch. And I was like, all right, I will. And then I ended up coming away with really enjoying it as well.
Yeah, I think it suffers that I'm assuming you have to watch them back to back to really appreciate the nuances of the movies. If I hadn't seen The Last Picture Show, I have no idea if I would have liked Texasville, for example.
So what happens in this movie?
Well, real quick, and it's just so funny, this shares the same year with another sequel we've already covered.
Yeah.
The Two Jakes came out in 1990 as well, and it also bombed terribly.
And it's the sequel to Chinatown,
which also came out in the early 70s.
So they had a lot of riding on it. That if you're going to make a sequel to an American classic, okay, let's see how this goes.
Well, it feels like these sequels try to remain true to the originals, and like we talked about with the Two Jakes, putting out a movie that has 70s filmmaking sensibilities in 1990 is going to scare audiences away unless they're hardcore. Like 1990s audiences wanted 1990s movies.
This one takes place in like 84, right? So it was like, it's that Reagan America where everybody's making money because Dwayne is now a millionaire because he went big into oil and he paid off. So it's kind of like the town that we saw in the Last Picture Show did die, but it's only it's only a few blocks of it and it's still connected. But Anarene, Texas seems to be doing just fine. Probably some of that has to do with Dwayne and that he's a millionaire, he's in oil and he stayed in town.
I could see that.
So it seems like it seems like the city's fine, but the old part of the city's just there as kind of a ghost town almost.
Real quick, I just want to cover the dates and then let's get into this is a weird movie that was made in 1990 and takes place in 1984. So it was made 19 years after the original, but takes place 32 years in movie timelines. So Jeff Bridges was actually younger than he was playing.
They were all about 40, but they're playing 50.
So Jeff Bridges actually put on 35 pounds to make it look like he was a little older and softer.
I mean, Jeff Bridges has looked good his whole life, so it was totally believable that a 40-year-old man was playing a 50-year-old. It didn't bother me at all, so I think he pulled it off.
And so, yes, we have Jeff Bridges, who kind of probably saved the town, Dwayne, by becoming rich, which is ironic that the kid that's never tried to do anything except be popular and get laid kind of walks himself into the role that Sonny wanted to be as the leader and the Sam.
Yeah, exactly, the Sam role.
And now we have Sonny still broken and in shambles. He's the mayor. He has an important quote-unquote role, even though it seems pretty clear that Dwayne runs the show.
And they're all friends, so that's nice.
They've stayed close, but they make it clear right away that Sonny, his brain isn't there, and he forgets things.
Yeah, he's a little off. Do you think it's because of the bottle?
No, but they would go way out of their
Dwayne
way
did that too?
now that we're shooting in color to show that his eye was discolored, that he was mostly blind in that thing.
Looks all glassy and stuff. Yeah. Sonny. They give him. Since he's the mayor, they're on the council. They have a couple council meetings, and the city, like the only plot thread is that the city is planning for the centennial celebration of Texasville, which I think was what Eileen was called when it was first founded.
I can't figure out what Texasville is, and the book probably says it, but yeah, because they wanted to make a recreation of Texasville in the town square, and the guy was against it because of how depraved Texasville was, and it's like, God, I want to know more about.
Yeah, well, imagine an old western from the 1800s, like Tombstone, where or Marty McFly's Hill Valley when he goes back to 1885, like that was Texasville, and then Anarene, Texas was like built on top of that. That's why they wanted to have the whorehouse and the saloon and everything built. So they come to an agreement where like, okay, we'll just do like a miniature version of it. It's just a funny Bogdanovich little thing. Like, I think he got a little out there in his later years making films where he would just have these fun little flourishes, and I just thought that was it. Like, there's a shootout later, or no, there's a shootout, yeah. There's a shootout later, but it's all about eggs. People are throwing eggs, and like Jeff Bridges would like take cover in the old Texasville. Like, it was just weird. Like, he's taking cover but in the building, but he's in the old style. Or the old miniature version of Texasville. I was down with it. It was pretty funny.
So Dwayne is the head of an oil company named after himself, and we find out pretty quickly that his ass is broke. He owes $12 million, and you know what? He is such a great and likable guy that he used that coolness and his popularity to bully Randy Quaid as Lester, now the bank president, into kind of secretly giving him $12 million.
Yeah.
And now it's not Dwayne that's going to be in trouble. It's Lester for committing bank fraud. And so Randy Quaid spends the entire time just being concerned about his jail time and if Dwayne could get him some money so he doesn't go to jail.
And Quaid's character is, I think, a win for the movie, and that if you're going to make a sequel and you're going to bring back the old characters, you better give him something good to do. And it's not much of a role, but it makes sense, and it's important to Dwayne's story.
It's a better role than his role in Last Picture Show.
And of course, Ruth, who was Sonny's affair, is now Dwayne's secretary, basically his money person, handling. So maybe it was her fault that he's overextended himself or something. I don't know. Because Dwayne seems like he just, like, as you said, he just like lucks into all this goodwill. So maybe it was the people around him that were fucking everything up for him.
I have a feeling that it's people like Ruth who have kept him going by taking care of all the stuff that he would have never had the chance or never been smart enough to do.
Yeah, that's probably how it is.
And yeah. Dwayne is married now in one of my favorite performances of hers of all time, married to Annie Potts playing Carla.
She steals the movie for sure.
Steals the movie.
She's got the funniest lines too, and that's what's fun about it.
They have a terrible relationship where Dwayne cheats on her. She knows it. She does what she wants, but you can see that they clearly love each other and respect each other. It's the clearest that I think I've seen Bogdanovich show through in these movies so far, because he personally wrote this one, and I see it all over that that's the kind of relationship that he has. Right. And it was great.
Yeah. They both depend on each other, but they don't have to like it. And they're fine with it. Yeah. And that might be him. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, she's good because she's Texas, She's got that Texas drawl, and she's got all the good lines, and she gives Dwayne shit constantly.
I didn't realize it was even her.
No, you didn't?
It was that, like, I mean, I had just seen her in Ghostbusters, and yeah.
That's another thing that we can do in this podcast is like Arsenio Hall, He was one of those actors that never got his due, we feel like. Bruce Campbell. And now Annie Potts. I'm just like, she did such quality work, but now that she's an older woman, they just are like, oh, it'll be cute if we just have Annie Potts in a scene. That's shitty for the quality of actress she is. Like, she should be Bill Murray. She should still have starring vehicles, not just be Trout Out.
She was the part of the movie that disappointed me the most. I don't know why. Like, she had like 2 sentences in the main movie.
Yeah, but in the trailer she had a longer speech, so I know that they just cut. But we didn't want to go into Ghostbusters.
No, and that's just because of our time constraints.
It would take too much time.
But we will get into it.
We will get into it
So
someday, for sure.
The thing that's happening in Texasville now is that all these kids from the last generation of old America are adults now, and they still have no idea why they're doing anything that they're doing. Like the American dream, that stuff that they were striving for, they realized that it was kind of dead when they were teenagers, and now they are literally just running around this town fucking each other.
And everybody knows it, and even Dwayne's son Dickie is like a philanderer. He's sleeping with Dwayne's mistresses. He's getting girls pregnant, apparently. He's marrying this. He's divorcing this. I don't know. Or he's a fiance to so-and-so, but then he wants to marry somebody else.
I would need a map.
And like Carla is fine with all this. She's just like, God, what a crazy family I have.
Your boy's in jail again, is how we're introduced to Dickie. And Jeff Bridges has to go and pick him up. And on the way home, they see a truck they don't recognize in the driveway. And that's when Dickie explains that he's been nailing Susie Nolan, Junior Nolan's wife, and he's been nailing Randy Quaid's wife, Mary Lou.
So that's obviously one of the husbands who's looking to shoot Dickie. So Dwayne's like, well, let me let you off.
Yeah, Dwayne gives him the truck, and he's like, I'll let you know when it's cooled down.
But this is the shit that's funny, and this is why you keep watching. So I don't know what it has to do with the plot. I don't know if there is a plot.
Junior, one of the husbands that's been spurned, he moves in with them.
That's right. Yeah.
Randy Quaid's wife, Mary Lou, is the one who gets knocked up by Dickie. But then Dickie runs off with some other woman and got married. I could have swore it wasn't either of those two.
It wasn't those. I think it was the younger girl that was in the hot tub with Carla. That was his fiance, and I think he stuck with her eventually. I don't know.
There was so much going on.
The one thing that pulls like Sam the Lion, I felt pulled everything together. The thing that pulls everybody together in this movie is that J.C. Farrow, Cybill Shepherd's character, comes back.
J.C. came home?
Town. She came home. She went off to be an actress, and she had a tragedy where her son was killed on set. Like he electrocuted himself while she was shooting a scene. Did you pick up on that?
No, I did not, actually.
So she has this tragedy, and she just came home, and now she's wrapped up again in Dwayne's life, but she really likes Carla. Like they get along like best friends, and she ends up like stealing Dwayne's family through the whole movie and going to do things because I think she's missing that. She's missing what she gave up on to go off and be an actress, but she's also missing the fact that she had a son and that died. So all that together, but she's, messing up everything for Dwayne, but he messes it up on his own anyways. It's just a big mess.
It's fantastic. Yes.
But it's fun to watch. Yeah.
The relationship between Cybill Shepherd and Annie Potts is dynamic. They start dressing the same. Yeah. They start acting the same. And the whole time Dwayne is just losing his shit over it.
And so something happened. Oh, yeah, so is there anything big we're missing?
I don't remember.
Yeah, except that he ends up striking oil, and that kind of like helps him out financially. So it kind of saves his business. And then that in turn saves Randy Quaid's character, right?
In theory,
gives him the money,
we don't actually
but he
see
kind
it.
of goes a little crazy because of his wife's philandering, and he just seems to have medical issues. Like he's always just stressed out. So I don't know if he really.
Well, he recovers because he hooks up with one of Dwayne's mistresses.
Right, the other one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know that one's name. So yeah, he's happy. And
yes, okay, so it works out for him too.
Yeah. How does this story?
Well, they're all concerned with Sonny, who's kind of having like early dementia, is what it looks like.
Yes.
Like he's living in this fantasy world where he's seeing movies in the sky, but he's like almost reliving the Last Picture Show. It seems he's just stuck in the old part of Anarene, and they find him on the roof watching the skies. They find him in the stands of the football stadium when it's the most dramatic part of the movie is that he's on the top of the stands in the football stadium and he might jump or he might fall. So Dwayne and JC and Carla all have to run up and grab him and keep him from falling. And Ruth, Cloris Leachman's there as well. And they like save his life and get him down and put him in the car. And
Ruth takes him and takes him home, and she takes care of him.
And she says, we loved each other at one point.
Yeah.
And she felt that was enough to feel like she was responsible for him. Yeah. So she wants to take care of him, which I thought was sweet.
Yeah, it was very sweet.
But how did you take the ending of the movie?
Okay.
Is there anything big I missed, or did you...
Recap the ending of the movie.
What did we all come to?
I'm blanky right now.
He strikes oil. He gets the money.
Yeah.
Lester's happy with his old mistress. He and Carla seem to have come to some sort of agreement in life, and they ended up sleeping together again. So I think they're like on their way to patching up the relationship. And I think in a way, JC had like something to do. Like it almost is like she had to come between them in order to show them that they needed each other. I'm not sure if that worked in my mind.
That was kind of the message that I got from it too, is they all did a little bit of growing up and were able to see how much they meant to each other. And
Yeah.
I loved it because they were just so good together.
I
they
like
had
that too.
great chemistry.
So then they go rescue Sonny from falling off the football stands,
And
they put him in the car, and then they all drive into town or out of town, and then the camera just kind of pans off, and the last thing you see is the old picture show as it did in the first film,
And JC,
and that's the end.
how does JC end?
I don't know. She just went with him.
Just went
And
with
they
him.
They all had good looks together. Like they were like smiling at each other, and they got all in the cars and drove off. So I don't know. I was gonna ask you, like, what do you think the ending is? Like, to me, it was like there's no plot. Here's a bunch of stuff that happens. You'll really like the characters. It's a fun little journey, and then we're just gonna leave them, and maybe we'll pick up in another 30 years. But if we don't, this is just where they were at this time in their lives in Reagan's America. I didn't grab anything more than that, but when it ended, I was just like, that was really fun.
It was so fun. And yes,
that's all I could tell you.
That's the hard part with these character-driven movies, is that you kind of just on that ride. But he does do a good job of having, that traditional rule with the character is that they're supposed to start at a place and the journey is supposed to change them. And if they do that, then you're whatever. And so, yeah, I mean, we do have Dwayne and Carla at one place at the beginning, and they are in a completely different place after these events. So it's like he's secretly telling a story, kind of.
I mean, you don't have to follow that rule. Those rules are made to be broken.
I like that rule.
Yeah, it's a good rule, and most films hold up to that as well. You're right about Carla and Dwayne. Like, they seem to be in a better place. Maybe they helped JC find happiness after her tragedy, and then coming home. And they also maybe realized that Sonny needs help, where they were kind of denying it throughout the movie and like, he'll be okay. But now it made them realize that we need to take care of him. So, I mean, everybody kind of is in a better place at the end. Lester seems to be happy and got his money back for his bank. And so, for the most part, their son's married, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Dwayne's definitely going to fuck it up, but we don't know. We'll never see that now.
That's true, and that's sad.
That's all I can tell you. But so, just like the last picture show, this movie came out, and it was a sensation. Everybody just went out. No, actually, they shot it for like 30 million.
18,
and it made like
20.
$1 million,
Yeah.
something like that.
And it made like 2.3. Huge bomb. The definition of what bomb is, if you look it up in the dictionary, that's what you see.
Well, I don't know if that's actually the definition, but that's okay.
And yeah, just shockingly bad. Bogdanovich blames the studio's final cut, but you know what? Everybody blames something. And
I thought the movie was good. Like, what was he complaining about?
I know. I loved this movie, and I think
he should
everybody
have just come out and said, like, well, you didn't get it? Well, too bad for you. Maybe somebody will watch it in 30 years and put it on a podcast, and they'll be like, what's a podcast? Oh, you'll see.
And then he teleports away.
Yeah, he just disappears.
Yeah, I think Bogdanovich actually has a podcast where he talks about movies.
Oh, that would make sense.
Yeah. The thing with this movie is that it doesn't exist. This is where I want to end the show. I need all of you listeners, past, present, future, to tweet at, I think it's MGM. I think MGM is the rights holder, to
I'm pretty sure
re-release Texasville on some kind of streaming platform. Streaming platform. It costs them nothing. They're going to get owned by Amazon here pretty quick. Let's tweet at Amazon.
That's right.
And tell them to put Texasville on Amazon Prime, so that a whole new generation can discover what it's like to be morally depraved Peter Bogdanovich. Bag of
sounds such a good ending.
bag down
You just crashed, landed right at the ground. You forgot to put down the landing gear before you hit the ground.
just flipping. I went over the handlebars.
It was so good. That was funny.
But yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say about this movie?
I don't either.
I love it. I'm excited to.
I'm glad it turned out to be something worth seeing.
Yes,
Because I didn't know. I just thought it was like, hey, let's pull this out of nowhere.
this was a great surprise.
I also wanted to cover Terms of Endearment because I found out there was also a hidden sequel called The Evening Star. But that's actually on HBO. Like, I've seen it. I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen it on streaming. So that's not as hidden. But the coincident thing is that, they're both written by Larry McMurtry. I had no idea.
One last final thought, because I gotta get off. The Last Picture Show is a director's cut. This is the only available version is a cut that Bogdanovich did later.
Mm. I have the BBS story. It's called America Lost and Found Criterion Collection, and it comes with a Monkees movie head, Easy Rider, The Last Picture Show, 5 Easy Pieces, Jack Nicholson's first movie he directed called Drive, he said. Harry Jaglom is another filmmaker, part of their thing, and a movie he made called A Safe Place. And then it all wraps up with another Nicholson, Bruce Stern film called King of Marvin Gardens. And that was pretty much the last narrative film they all made as BBS. They did a documentary about the Vietnam War called Hearts and Minds. It actually won the Oscar after their company had already dissolved. So this BBS story is called America Lost and Found Criterion Collection. Phenomenal, because they have great extras for the Last Picture Show. But it was really that was like a microcosm of new Hollywood from like the year 1969 to like 73, and that was it.
Interesting.
But yeah, I guess to your point, that's his director's cut. So I've never actually seen the theatrical version.
Yeah, most people haven't. It's like Star Wars. So we have to wrap this up. So I'm going to go ahead and say this has been a great episode. Please follow us on all the social medias, comment, review our podcast, share it with your grandmother, do everything that you can to get the word out. And until then, I'm Justin.
I'm Aaron.
And we will talk to you next time.
Your grandmother will love this.
Your grandmother is going to fucking love us.
Bye.